meetings organized by Five and the Diaspora Camerooners. Here we create a platform where Africans, both home and abroad, can contribute to their nation's building. We teach people things they don't know. We impact our society with knowledge. That's why our guests always are usually well chosen. And this day we are happy to be honored with the presence of we're honored with Mr. Okezi Adindu's presence. He's a sociologist. He's a lot more. I would not love to say that. Maybe he would throw more light on it himself. Mr. Okezi, you're welcome. Maybe you could tell us more about yourself and what you do.
Okay, my name is Okezi. I'm from Nigeria. Just like Ashirati said, I'm a sociologist. I graduated from University of Port. I'm a social worker as well, and I'm currently campaigning for rural community development in Nigeria, especially rural community digital inclusion. So currently, I'm in a program in communities in Ugunabo in Abia State, introducing computer in rural community schools. So that's about me for now.
Okay. All right. Maybe you just love to dive right into our topic of discussion for today.
Okay, yeah. From what we discussed earlier offline, we was talking about religion and morality. So I would want us to look at it from that angle, religious and morality in Africa.
Okay.
Yeah. Please, can I know with you? Can I know order of my brothers? I can see faces of my brothers out there, and I'm very happy to connect with the order of African brothers and sisters. I'm very, very happy to do that. Can I hear from them?
Pardon?
I say I'm very happy to see the faces of my order of my African brothers out there. Please, can I hear from them?
Okay.
Hi,
Their mics
yeah.
are muted. Their mics are muted for now. Maybe we'll just
Okay.
unmute the.
No problem, no problem, Lisa. Yes, I can just say in 30 seconds. Yes, I'm Nouridine.
Okay.
I'm a professor of mathematics. I live in New York in the US, and I'm originally from Cameroon. It's always good to hear about what people do, and sharing experience is the best way to grow, I guess. We can grow in our own balls, but when we connect with people, collaborate, and I mean, share knowledge, we grow better and we grow bigger, I should say. Well, uh, happy being here, and thanks having you to share with us what you will, what you have to share. I'll be interested to hear more about that. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
so
Thank you very much.
much. Okay, Mr. Okezi,
Yeah.
can you can ride on?
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Lisa, once more for giving me this platform. To actually share my thoughts. Uh, just like I said earlier, offline, I actually have a lot of things that is bothering me when it comes to do with religion in Africa and morality. And because I try to actually let me state this. I came from a Christian family though. I grew up in a Christian family, but I knew too well that way back my forefathers was not Christians. My forefathers were African traditional worshippers. So uh, growing up, I began to try to discover myself from the from the traditional, religion, from the traditional African system. So I've came to understand that people always tend to, especially in Nigeria. I want to use the Nigeria wherever I'm saying I want to use Nigeria as a case study. I came to understand that people in Nigeria tend to always mistake morality and religion. So on that premise was why I said, okay, if I'm going to say anything, I will just throw a little bit light on what I know or what I feel. And thank God is a platform for me to learn. And the time given to me may not be enough for me to express much on this very topic. So now I want to start by morality and religion, just like the topic. said, people tend to believe that morality came from religions, the two religions we borrowed from Asia, from the Middle East and the Europe. So I'm a Christian, just like I said. So I will always focus more on the Christianity. When I was growing up, my mom always tell me that I have to behave like Christ if I must be moral. But at a point, I begin to understand that it's not actually true. That my morality did not actually come from the number of days I went to church to recite catechism. So I begin to understand that. I begin to discover that morality in African context is even more better for me than morality from the Christian context. Now, I said, what is the then I now discover that from the scholarly view, many people in Africa today, many scholars in Africa tend to define morality from the conventionalized view, or from the European view of morality in what Christianity defines. But for me, I now discover that before the white men came introduced Christianity to us, that we are also a moral people. And what is morality? That's the question. Then what is morality? Morality is a set of ideas that that bind the society, that define what is wrong, that define what is right. So before we were introduced into Christianity, we also, if we know what is right and what was wrong, so it means that the African traditional society then also know what is morality. So people who want to defend morality solely on Christianity or from Islam today in Africa has not actually done the Africa indigenous people any benefit. Because why? Morality in African tradition did not encourage thievery. Just like morality in African tradition did not encourage thievery. And morality in African tradition also did not encourage any form of bad behaviors. So my point is that if Africa were people who existed side by side with Europe, so meaning that Africans themselves also were a moral society. So at what point do we now look at ourselves that if you do not belong to, if you are not a Muslim, or if you are not a Christian, you began to define your behavior. For instance, if I say I'm an African traditional worshiper, you will look at me as somebody who is morally corrupt. But in African traditional religion, did not teach the people corruption. Neither did African traditional religion teach people how to steal, or neither did they teach people how to prostitute, for instance, and neither did they teach people how to be corrupt, like as we have it today in Nigeria. So those who tend to define morality based on based on European context, has not done African traditional worshippers, has not done them any service. They have done them the service. Please pardon my English. I'm not too good in English though. So, and I said that the parameter to define morality from the Africanist or Afrocentric explanation embraces authentic mode of African knowledge constituted within indigenous communities. Like in the olden days in my community, there's what is called parade. When somebody steals, they will parade you from one market to another, from one community to another. That parade, then they will parade you with actually the item that you stole. That parade was to shame you publicly. And the shaming you publicly, if the people have that understanding, then that shaming you publicly is to deter other persons, or even you though as well, not to steal again. That was the system of what instilling moral behaviors in the people. That is even pre-colonial era. So if the people then we are able to understand that you don't steal, you don't do ill, you don't steal, you don't keep people, you don't supposed to be corrupt. So what at what point are we not going to defend that Africans became moral when Christianity or Islam were introduced to Africa? So if morality is a set of ideas that guide people's behavior in a particular society, so Africa we are also Africa, which was also a society run by people. So Africa actually have their own moral behavior that is completely entirely different from Christianity. There's what's happened last year in Japan. A PhD holder named Frank Weke. No, it's not Frank. Sorry, Weke. Ikenna Weke. Though he picked a wallet that contained dollars. So when he returned the wallet to Japanese authority, they promised to give him 10% of the money that was inside the wallet. Though that is the Japanese law. So I read that when you pick something, they are going to give you a percentage of what he picked. So when they requested for him to pick it, he said no. When the Japanese authority gave him the 10% of what was inside the wallet, he said no. So when they requested to ask why did you reject what they gave to you, because this is our normal system here, he said because he grew up in a Christian family. I don't have problem with that. But that kind of presentation, because that kind of presentation in Japan tend to paint the African way of life itself, that the African moral system also encourage different. Why did I say so is that what actually made him to return the wallet may not necessarily mean that he's a Christian. But what actually made him to return the wallet is that he has a moral behavior that defends not taking what belongs to you, not stealing what does not belong to you. So if if we now go by that particular behavior, someone who is in Japan and a PhD holder for that matter, is as if that painting African traditional.
Hello, Mr. Okay, can you hear me?
Hello.
Okay, can you hear
Sorry,
me?
yes, I have poor reception. Sorry, please.
All right. Okay, right
Okay.
on.
Okay, so he now returned when he returned so what I'm saying that what actually made him to return I don't have I don't have any problem that he grew from a Christian family. I grew up from a Christian family also. But the problem I have is that for us to understand that morality is completely different from what we acquire either in church, that Africa as well also have indigenous moral. So it's as if that the Christianity or Islam, that because I want to focus more on the Christianity and Islam because that's the two borrowed religions today in Africa, and it's okay. But the Christianity and Islam, they don't actually teach us moral. What Christianity and Islam actually teach us, in my own view, is the moral decode of what, or moral decode of what, or the both religion. But it's not teach us the moral. For instance, the person who returned the wallet did not return the wallet because is actually virtually a Christian. No, he returned the wallet because he actually came from a moral what, family. And it's not as if those who is not Christian in his community also encourage different. No, they don't encourage different. But because they have what? Moral that defend that you don't take what belongs to you. They're even going by that today. Can we say vividly that the two religion has what uh, has bring cohesion, sorry, has bring unity, yes, has bring unity in Africa, has built African morality? No, it has not. Nigeria today, there is corruption. There's high level of political corruption, and all the whole political office holders belongs to one church or mosque or the other. So, at what point are we going to define draw a line that morality does not only necessarily come from being a Christian, also come from being a Muslim? That Africa itself also have a system that defines morality even before the contact of these two borrowed words, religion. So Africa must, because I'm very passionate on everything that concerns Africa, and I'm very passionate for us to also rewrite some of the histories, rewrite some of our histories in Africa, to rewrite some of the things that they said that this is they said about us. So African system of morality, African system of morality is there before the what? Before the white men. Today in Africa, people who actually people kill, people steal, even those who belongs to one religious group or the other, kill. They do all manner of things, and the society inside today also has not been able to even define very well. Africa is actually struggling to be African at the same time the Europeans. So we now find ourselves in a crossfire. How can we somebody in, for instance, in a Christendom, how can someone said that Africa don't have to, that you don't need to, that somebody don't supposed to be married two wives? So that's what Christianity taught us today. That marrying two wives is morally wrong. But at the same time, how can you not say that marrying two wives is morally wrong? Then now marrying your fellow man or marrying your fellow woman is morally what? Right. So at what point are we going to understand that African system of African religious system we normally call ATR? There's not or African culture entirely did not discourage or has its own more set of ideas that encourage what? Moral system in what? In Africa. And at what point are we going to kill the prejudice or the prejudice that if somebody said that he don't actually believe in both religion, you look at that person as morally corrupt. So if we look at somebody from that, if we look at people who tend to believe, who tend to find their moral system from African tradition, from African culture, as being morally corrupt because they refuse to embrace Christianity or they refuse to embrace Islam. It means that such a person is still lacking the knowledge of what defines what morality. And besides, the morality as a concept has is a very ambiguous has an ambiguous definition. What constitutes morality in Europe may not be what constitutes morality in Africa. What constitutes morality in Africa may not be what constitutes morality in Europe. Because in Europe today, somebody can marry a fellow man, a woman can marry a woman. In Europe, is morally right. But in Africa, in many African countries, is morally wrong. So how can we now have, if we are defining morality or we are looking at morality from the European concept of it, that means it's not going to it's not right. But why it's not right is because it becomes subjective. Yes, it becomes subjective. That's what I want to think. It becomes subjective because morality in itself is supposed to be what? Objective. Because what constitutes morality in Europe is not what constitutes morality in Africa. How can someone now defend the fact that in African tradition that the early scholars look at Africa who marries more than one wife as being morally corrupt. Now, but some people who marries their fellow man now are now morally what? Right. So my point is that, in conclusion, my point is that morality does not morality is descriptive in the sense that, and is not also subjective, it's objective. That what defines morality in one society is not what defines morality in another society. That those who tend to believe in Christianity and those who tend to believe in Islam in Africa, they are right in their own belief, but they should not look at those who tend to define morality from the African view for as being morally corrupt. And besides, those who also those who also practice Islam in Africa and practice Christianity in Africa also derive their morality not necessarily because they are not Christians or they are Muslims. No, that morality that they are practicing today is morality that is already there for us. So if the African system can begin to define morality from the African context, I believe so much that most of the ills today in Africa that is happening, and most of the ills today in Africa is not going to be happening. That's what I believe. If Africa begins to define morality from the context of Africa, not necessarily mean that if you see someone who is not necessarily mean that if you see someone who does not believe in both religions, that is morally corrupt. So Africa must, as a matter of necessity, to begin to look into this kind of issues, began to understand that morality is not subjective. That morality is not subjective. That morality depends on the society and what the society defines as being what morally what right. Hello, can you hear me,
Yeah,
Lizzie? Okay,
right on.
okay, okay. So now, I also want to conclude by a particular story when it comes to do with what defines right and wrong in our society today in Africa. It has a lot to do with what a particular society at a particular time thinks that is wrong and is right. Some in Nigerian culture today, there's a place that you meet in Nigerian culture where family, where they have inter-family marriage, where people can marry from the same family or from the same kindred. But in my own culture in Nigeria, the same Nigeria, you don't marry from the same kindred. So those who marry from the same kindred, it's normal for you to feel a cultural shock when you hear such stories. It's normal for you to also to make a quick judgment that those people are morally wrong. But they are not morally wrong in the sense that it defines them, it's their culture. That is what defines them. So for me, it's not going to, it's not, I cannot begin to judge them based on my own cultural background, because my cultural background did not say I should marry from the same kindred. But their cultural value said that they should marry from their same what kindred. But that does not make them what morally what wrong. But in the general term, we know that there are things that Africa don't know before even the white men came. In Africa today, corruption is new to us. For instance, corruption is new to us. Those are war that came with colonialism. We don't know all we don't know of those things before. We don't know exploitation. We don't know all those things before the white man came. So at what point, I'm very worried at what point are we going to understand that morality does not have a particular meaning, that morality runs from one particular cultural background, one particular society to another, to understand that being a Christian or being a Muslim does not actually define what your morality. But what actually defines your morality is what the society itself have. Okay, for instance, now in Nigeria, where we have Christian dominated South and a Muslim dominated North, if you blaspheme in the North, say anything against Prophet Muhammad, you are likely to face mob action. If you face mob action, people burn you alive. What constitutes? Would they say that constitutes a moral right? That does not constitute a moral right. Then in Christendom, in the Satan dominated Christian, if maybe peradventure you do such, you blaspheme Jesus Christ. If you blaspheme Jesus Christ in Satan predominantly Christians, what the Christians will say is that God is going to judge you. But if there are some certain things that if you steal on the streets in certain area today, it takes the grace of God for police to rescue you, because you are likely to face mob action because you steal. So at what those people who constitute the mob action are Christians and who actually carry out this mob judgment and burn the person alive. Burning the person alive, will you say that constitutes a moral what? A moral right? So people must understand that African system, Africa itself, before the two borrowed regions today, find morality from the African context. But if we begin to now find morality from the African context, I believe that there's going to be reduction in corruption. There's also going to be reduction in ills today that is happening in Africa. Because in my own clan, in the olden days, we have what is called Alademma, the land cleanser. The land cleanser was a ghost. The ghost kills you as soon as you touch your hand in anything evil. So he gives you an instant judgment. So yes, people will argue. Many scholars have argued that such instant judgment is not acceptable. That is why Christ come to die for us to not have, for us to not kill each other, for us to not have this kind of instant judgment. But those days where we have this particular ghost now that we call the land cleanser, Aladema in our mother tongue, people, the level of crime, I've begun to understand that the level of crime then, the level of crime and the level of crime now is not the same thing. No, yes, there's a population explosion. I will not doubt that. But the level of crime then and the level of crime now in our society in the southern region today is no longer the same thing. But yet, every Sunday, everybody dress up to church. Everybody dress up to church. Almost every street in Nigeria have churches, especially in the southern area. Yet, we look at when you look at our moral life, our moral life tend to don't actually represent what we do in churches every Sunday. Then even in the church itself, how can you defend the fact that a pastor who is in the pulpit, who is actually in the pulpit, telling you that you are going to have unmerited favor of what you didn't work for? But in African context of morality, unmerited favor of unmerited, you cannot get what you did not work for. What you did not work for in African context of morality is wrong, because you need to have what you work for. You don't need to have what you did not work for. And I'm not neglecting the fact that even in African traditional religion, then that there is no divine interventions. There are divine interventions. There are also even in the African traditional religion. Also, there are also bad things that happen. No one will doubt that. That is the nature of human. So what I'm saying in essence that you will not use those bad things that happen to begin to defend that Africa, we are not moral people. Before Africa, we are introduced into the world capitalist orbit. No, Africa, we are also moral people. And Africa is as if that is even as if that African morality then before colonialism, we are even more better than what we have today. Now, question is that has both religion we borrowed from Europe and the Middle East, Arabians, has it actually helped to bring peace in Africa today? My answer, so long as I'm concerned, so long as I'm talking from Nigeria, the answer is capital no. So if it has not bring peace in Nigeria, how can we not say that? How can we not define the moral value? It has completely taken away from the African value to African moral system. Because before then, we have so many things. We have code of dressing. We have mode of eating. We have outlined ways of behavior in our society. But today, what do you see? You have everything has turned upside down. There's completely religious crisis in Nigeria. If you don't know, there is completely religious crisis in Nigeria, where Muslims kill Christians, where Christians look at Muslims as an enemy, especially northern area where you have minority Christians. So if the two religions is not building moral, if the two religions is not bringing peace in Nigeria, how can you not say that the both religions has increased the moral life of Africa? No. So we cannot always define from the point that you must be righteous for you to make heaven, so that when you make heaven, you need to make heaven. So for you to make heaven, you must be righteous. And those righteousness, nobody is not going to judge you. Society does not have anything again to judge you from the traditional level. Yes, society does not have anything again to judge you. What society does now is, don't worry, God is going to judge you. But I'm saying that if the both religion is not going to bring peace in Africa, at what point can we say that the both religion? I'm just making a closing this and I'm asking it as a question. At what point can we say that both religion, being Christianity and Islam, has increased the moral values of African people? Then that is one too. That is one too. It's also important for us to understand that morality cannot be subjective. We cannot subject us to say this is what constitutes morality. Because today in Africa, There's no way you are going to convince somebody like me that it's better for us to marry our fellow man than to marry a second wife. Because if you marry a second wife in the Christian family, that constitutes what morally, or it constitutes what moral corruption. But if you marry your fellow man today in Europe as a Christian, it does not is no longer morally wrong. But in Africa, it's completely morally wrong. It's going to so long as I'm concerned, so long as African traditional system is concerned, no one is going to convince me that that marrying more than one wife is morally wrong. Then marrying your fellow man or marrying your fellow woman is what morally right. So in that sense, I believe that morality does not actually necessarily mean that it came from being a Christian. Neither does it come from being a Muslim. That morality in African system, that morality has always been there in Africa before the what, both what religion. Thank you very much, Liz. Thank you for giving me a platform to express myself.
Thank you very much, Okezi. Thank you very much for that powerful presentation. I would love to open the floor if there are any contributions or any questions. If anyone has a question, you can ask. If you have a contribution, you can equally add. Hello, can you all hear me?
Hi, sorry. Hi, yes. Very good presentation, Okezie. And the topic you chose is quite, I don't want to say complex topic, but it's very tricky. It's very tricky. I don't know if this is a question or just a comment. Usually, the power makes the rule. The one who has power makes the rule, unfortunately, but it seems to be so in our world. And the Western world, who are those imposing, who are those that have been imposing their rules for the last 300 years? Are the powerful people. And unfortunately, Africa has been colonized all over. I take the example of Ethiopia, who is the only African country who has not been colonized. Ethiopia is known to be the oldest is believed to be the oldest country in Africa. And when we talk of morality, just like you said, or ethics, they stand by their own belief. That is why they cannot be divided at all. They just cannot be divided. Now, what about, maybe this is now my question. Usually the traditional rulers are those enforcing morality in a community. But in our Africa today, our traditional rulers are totally subjected to the how will I call it? To the politics, to the people who govern, and those people are usually dictated by the West. How do you see Africa overturning that behavior, that loss of our own morality, when the people who are the keepers of the traditions are all subjected to the new world order? Let me call it that way.
Okay.
Can I answer the question, or I should take all the whole questions once?
Go ahead and answer.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much, sir. Yes, in African traditional system, just like I should rightly say, the traditional rulers we are free from completely corruption. Not actually necessarily completely corruption, but the traditional rulers we are actually the custodian of tradition. I understand too well. But you need to understand there were a kind of demarcation. Sorry, there were a kind of a line between the traditional rulers and the gods itself. Just like I told you, in my own clan, we have a particular god they call the land cleanser. The land cleanser then, we are actually brought by people. Doesn't necessarily mean that anybody libate on it, nobody libates on it. What it means is that it was in the village square that every freeborn, sorry, not every born in my community has already been already is going to be affected, or even a stranger is going to be affected by what the God is going to do. Yet it becomes very difficult today because we have many people, even the chief priest today, people who have become who are the custodian of those traditions, have now been corrupted by the capitalists, by the colonialists. Yes, but the question is the question remains that if if Africa will also look at it from that, we are not jettisoning what Europeans bring for us completely, but if Africa will look at it that if we're also practicing the two borrowed religion, we also start to define ourselves from the African context. Not necessarily means that we are going to be looking at those traditional rulers as a custodian of tradition, because we know what is obtainable right now in Nigeria. I know what is obtainable. Almost high percentage of traditional rulers today are completely corrupt. But sincerely, in most communities in Nigeria, the traditional rulers are not necessarily the custodian of the tradition. They are not necessarily the custodian of tradition. The custodian of tradition are not necessarily the traditional rulers in Nigeria. So we also know that there's something in the community that when you go this way, naturally you don't know what's going to happen to you. Naturally, you don't know what is going to happen to you. Yes, it's going to be difficult now. It's going to be difficult in a time where money has been introduced to us, that you cannot use money to buy everything in Africa today. So it becomes very difficult that even the custodian of those traditions, outside the traditional rulers themselves, maybe the people who are in charge of those African belief system, are now going to be corrupt. Corrupt in the sense that it can be easily be bought by political office holders today. But I can tell you vividly that going by my own tradition, going by my own system, and the things I have seen in other communities in Nigeria today, let me even make this point very clear for you to understand what I'm saying. That there are communities today that still hold their traditions, that defend morals. Yes, there are communities that today that there are some certain things you cannot do. Let me use a community in Niger Delta as for instance. There's a community they call Urobo in Niger Delta. Is located in Niger Delta, in Delta State to be precise. There's a community they call Urobo. In Urobo culture, a woman who is married to a man cannot sleep with another man as long as the man is alive. If you want to go and do that, you can go and do that in your own. If you do that, you are doing that at your own risk. Naturally, you don't know what is going to happen to you. So it does not necessarily mean that it's those traditional rulers in charge is actually going to do whatever that is going to affect the woman. No, it is the custodian. Sorry, it's the custom of the tradition of those particular people done by their great grandfathers, which we don't know what they actually did. And I'm not saying I'm not actually saying also that Africans should go and start worshiping. Maybe they should go and start worshiping idols. No, that's what I'm not. That's what I'm not saying that. What I'm saying in the sense that Africa must not define their morality based on what on the two borrowed words religion. Yes, there must be a way. I believe that there must be a way that Africa can also retrace their path. I don't know if my explanation actually answered your question, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay.
All right. Are there any other contributions or questions? If none, I would love to contribute or maybe add a little bit to what Mr. Adinjo has just said. So, in every community, in every society, the essence of every religion, be it Christianity, be it Islam, be it traditional beliefs, the essence of all this is to build a morally upright society. So now, if these religions are unable to achieve this aim, for instance, you have Muslims fighting Christians because they want to spread their they call the jihadist wars and all the rest. They want to impose their power. We have Christians fighting Muslims. We have traditionalists fighting Christians and Muslims. Like no, this your religion is borrowed, this one is this one is this. At the end of the day, what are we trying to achieve? At the end of the day, what are we teaching ourselves? Actually, if you ask me, whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, whether a traditional traditional practitioner, I believe you do that because you believe there is a supernatural being you cannot see, but then you deem that you did not come from space, and then you have that obligation in you to share. You have that obligation in you to worship that invisible being. Now, if you are worshiping that invisible being, you know that this invisible being is not satisfied when I steal. This invisible being is not satisfied when I lie. This invisible being is not satisfied when I fornicate, when I do all things, all sorts of things, because you yourself, you have a conscience. It's not a matter of being a Christian, it's not a matter of being a Muslim, it's not a matter of being a traditionalist, but for the fear of that invisible being, that moral value have to be implemented in our society. And I think if everybody, because of what they believe in, whatever you believe in, because of whatever you believe in, if you should practice that morality in you, and then you don't only practice in you, but you show it to your neighbor, love one another, show it in your society, in your community, I think the world would be a better place. And as Okeziadin rightly said with Dr. Nuruddin, our traditional practitioners have a very great role, especially as Africans. They have a very big role to play in achieving this morality in our society. Because first of all, before the coming of this borrowed religion, we have our traditional ways of life. In our traditional ways of life, in my culture, for example, I'm a Cameroonian, I hail from the Northwest region, precisely in the Bui division, in the Salt land. In the Salt land, it is forbidden to steal. In the Salt land, it is forbidden to lie. There are some things, it's mysterious to explain, but there are some things that you don't just know what happened to you, like Mr. Okezi said happened in his culture. There are some things that happen to you, you cannot explain it. They just happen. Those things we have made, there are rituals that were done by our forefathers or whosoever. They did those things in order to make sure that people are scared to actually do things that are not supposed to be done. Those are rules that were imposed in our society by our forefathers. So as Africans, we stop relying on these borrowed religions like Christianity. Yeah, you're a Christian, so what? I'm a Christian. Yeah, you're a Muslim, and so what? Yeah. We are not interested in whatever you believe in. We are not interested in whatever religion you practice, but we are interested in what is the outcome of that, or that religion you believe in. What is the outcome of that, you being a Muslim? What is the outcome of you being a Christian? All of that is centered around morality, because Christianity says you should not steal. Tradition says you should not steal. Muslim says you should not steal, but yet you still have thieves everywhere. And these thieves, they don't come from space. They will tell you that, yeah, I believe in this religion. Please, we should try to stick to the morality of whatever religion we believe in. Thank you very much. So I don't know if Mr. Samuel has anything to add, but sir, I would love you to add something for that contribution. It really went a long way. And I want to acknowledge the presence of Tebi Louis. Tebi Louis, you're welcome. Can you say something?
Have been following the fruitful exchanges, and I would like to say religion itself is a very, very unique flashpoint. It's a very sensitive space that when you think of making statements related to religion, you really need to be careful. However, maybe I get into some critical thinking. When we are talking about values, we are talking about ethics, and we are talking about morality. Where does which of them fit? Who determines what is moral or morally right? Who determines what is ethically right? Who determines what is religiously right? What aspects about religion convinces you as an individual that religion is a moral standard. Let's take some flashback into history. The first missionaries to Africa, the first person to come and like discover the fertility and the richness, the wealth, were missionaries. They came with a Bible on one hand and with a gun on the left hand, presented the Bible, presented the Quran, transformed the mindsets of Africans, and in return took over our forefathers for slave trade in the name of morality. They went ahead, created the Berlin West African Conference, and partitioned us in our absence. I mean, the same people who came as Christians, as Muslims, as those who came to maybe transit us into another phase of life. Today, one of the main reasons why Africa is backward, in fact, religion has a great role to play. Africa is becoming more churchy, more religious, and then the highest amount of crime wave in the world, still from the same countries we consider religious. Let's go to Nigeria, for example. The biggest churches on earth are in Nigeria. The biggest renowned prophets are in Nigeria. The highest amount of crime in Africa comes from Nigeria. The most violent wars in Africa, Boko Haram, based from Nigeria. Children on the streets from Nigeria. The highest crime wave in terms of religious activities is from the same country. The highest rate of economic exploitation of followers, like you become a prophet overnight, miracles, fake and real. You take all money from your followers. You ride in jets, yet some of your followers cannot afford 3 square meals per day. Where is morality in all of that? We are talking about morality. Look at the Catholic Church. It is the second wealthiest organization that exists on earth. Let's go just COVID-19 that affected the entire world of recent. We heard how small firms are struggling to support countries and communities come out of the challenges. We heard nothing about Catholic Church trying to help the world out of this. Where is morality? Let's go the Middle East. The Middle East is made up of Arab countries, and Arab itself is about laws of Sharia laws, Islam, amongst others. The most bloody conflicts exist in the Middle East. In fact, that's the base where most of the prophets on earth, from Islam, from Buddhism, from Judaism, from Christianity, come from. Israel, for example, is the source of Christianity. Israel, what is Israel doing over Palestine? What is Italy, the source of the Catholic Church, doing on their part? I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, we understand.
My point is, when we are talking about morality, we need to be careful not to attach morality to religion, because religion is not necessarily a moral standard. And once we attach morality to religion, we are failing before we start. Africa has moral standards that exist nowhere in the world, not because of the religion that was brought, If we abide by that ancient path, I think it's right. We'll develop fast. Talking about values, values is another interesting space. I, however, think that individuals have values that stem from their conscience. When you build them up over a longer time, they become personal values. And if we abide by what our conscience tells us, at least we can differentiate good from evil. We base on that standard to build up our values, we are on the right path. But if we rely on religion, then I'm sorry, a lot of evil is being committed across the world behind religion today. All the religious wars, all the dogma, the doctrines, and the laws that restrain human actions affect socialization, social interactions, build up conflicts in the minds. Um, what makes you feel that as a Christian, Muslims will go to hell? Christianity. What makes you think that as a Christian, a staunch Christian, those who practice the African religion are worshiping idols? It's the way they presented religion to you. And all of that does not necessarily give you values. It simply restricts you from the mind. And when your reasoning is about faith, is about belief, then you still need to ask yourself more and more questions. I'm not saying that it's bad to believe or to have faith. I'm saying that if any activity you are carrying out has as the lone backup reason belief and faith, then you do not have enough reason enough. You think beyond that. I will round up by saying that religion is a good space. I'm a Christian. I do not abide by everything people tell me is Christianity, but I'm building a good path, and I think.
All right.
Hey, can I add something too very brief, please?
Okay, yeah,
Yeah. Thank you, Lindu, for having us having this conversation. It is topics like this don't always come, and we always want to have this kind of topic. But in the world today, it seems like these are kind of forbidden topics. Not forbidden officially, but on the ground, we're not allowed to talk about it. I was smiling when Louis Tebi was. I was smiling at the face of Louis Tebi, sorry, when he was saying that Nigeria has the biggest churches in the world. That Nigeria is more churchy and religious than actually any other country in the world. And this made me to realize that, okay, we're talking of morality and values. I'm looking at a baby, a newborn baby, fresh, 1 hour born baby. All right, the baby has not yet been corrupted by the surrounding. But you look at that baby. Baby is smiling. The baby is happy. Where does that happiness come from? The baby is in the spiritual mindset of the angel. He just came here. But as long as the baby stays with us until adulthood, the baby becomes the ugliest person on earth. Why? Because of the bills to pay, because of the school failing in class, because of the punishment from the parents, because of everything going on around. And where does that come from? I think morality and values, we should have them, we should connect them more with the spirituality of the community than the religion of the religion. And when we say spirituality, when we say Christianity, all right, it's only about 2,000 years. Islam is even younger than Christianity. But spirituality is there even before there was a human being on earth. Spirituality is what makes the world, is that light that makes the world. And I have a problem now, a very big problem. I always end my participation by asking a question to Adindu, but I guess the question can be to everyone. How can we say that we want to be independent, or we want to depart ourselves from what happens to the world, people coming to impose us their views, when every ruler in the world has to swear on either the Bible, on either the Torah, on either the Quran, on either, and our constitutions also sometimes are just copied from religious books. I'm not saying spiritual books, I'm saying religious books. That is such a bias from within. And the division doesn't come only when they bring money and guns to separate us. The division comes from that newborn baby who is meeting another person for the first time and start being corrupted right there. So really, we need to go back to our spirituality, in opposite to the religion or other beliefs we have around. And again, spirituality is from the soul, it's from the spirit. Religion is just from the common sense, I guess. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nuruddin. Thank you very much, Dr. Nuruddin. Thank you very much. And I hope each and everyone that participated in this meeting today learned something. We are not going back empty head. We are going back with a message to teach our community, to teach all those who are not able to make it here. You actually go back to them with a message. And what would that message be? What would that message be? Thank you all for making our time from your busy schedules to join us today. And next week, it's another day. Next week, Friday. Remember, we have these meetings coming up every Friday. And just to announce that we'll be having French versions on Thursdays too. So we'll not only have English versions, but we'll equally have French versions of these Zoom meetings on Thursdays and English versions on Fridays, so that both Anglophones and Francophones in Africa can participate, because our goal is not to build Anglophones only, but we are doing Africa. We are building African mindset. And given that Africa, it's either you're speaking French, you're speaking English, at least those are the basics in Africa. So we want to enlighten everybody and want everybody to be part of us. We don't want to leave anyone behind. Okay, once more, thank you very much. And we have come to the end of this week's Zoom meeting. I'm hoping and wishing to see you all next week. Thank you very much. For now, we'll be a bye.
Yeah, thank you again. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.